Started in the Champions League final against Marseille and played 85 minutes. In the second half, French defender Basile Boli's hard tackle injured him again, but Van Basten pushed through for another half hour.
Oh, de goal! Van de goal!
Reportage over het verjaardagsfeestje, maar het hele gesprek met Cruyff willen we u niet onthouden. Er wordt hier een feestje gevierd, 50 jaar Nederlands voetbal, maar clubs zitten in...
And distract the 70,000, 80,000 people who come to watch us every Sunday and the millions of people who follow us. From there...
As a young guy, so when I arrived in Monaco, you know,
Marcavo Scuravi,
I used to mark Scuravi, Casiraghi, Serena, all the tall ones, and I could take them all.
Balón que pudo Van Basten, le entró por detrás Basile Boli, amarillo, además que no estaba haciendo un buen partido.
Gol di Van Basten! Stupenda!
Passaggio a Van Basten, rovesciato di Van Basten e gol.
The worst flaw on the pitch.
Well, when the game was too easy, we won easily. Every
Photographs everywhere I go. Darisa. I haven't coached for 25, 26 years. Evidently.
This is Marco van Basten, a striker who didn't just score goals, he redesigned what a goal could look like. A man who reached football perfection and then disappeared before the world could fully process it. And these are the voices of the people who played with him, against him, and studied him from afar. Let's begin. This is Marco van Basten, a genius, finisher, phenomenon, and one of football's most tragic what-if stories, because everyone who saw him says the same thing. He was ahead of his time. At AC Milan under Arrigo Sacchi, Van Basten wasn't just a striker. He was the final system. Every movement in that Milan side was structured chaos. But Van Basten was the calm inside it. He could finish with either foot. He could score from impossible angles. He could control long balls that seemed unplayable for everyone else. Former teammates often describe him in one way: effortless precision, not fast in the explosive sense, but intelligent in movement. He didn't chase the ball. He arrived where the ball would become.
the pace of somebody who's small. He was very quick. He was always very small for a long time, and then he grew, but he kept the same pace. So he was always...
And then came the goal that defined him forever, the volley.
Euro 1988.
A ball that most strikers would try to control. He hit it first time, from an impossible angle, into history. That wasn't just technique. That was imagination turned into physics. Even opponents didn't describe frustration when talking about him. They described acceptance. Because when Van Basten had space, there was no defense plan left. Defenders said marking him felt useless, not because they didn't try, but because he solved situations faster than they could react. Even rival teams admitted something uncomfortable. You could defend perfectly and still lose to him. That is what separates good strikers from generational ones. And Van Basten wasn't just generational. He was disruptive to logic.
Dancing in between you. But he was a sensational player, but unfortunately for him, you know, when he should have been at his very, very best.
Milan splendido. Partita dell'anno per il cross. Gulli, goal!
Every era has a debate. Was he the greatest striker of his generation? Some say yes immediately. Others hesitate, not because of talent, but because of time lost, because his peak wasn't long enough. Then comes the uncomfortable comparison. What if injuries never happened? What if his body didn't break down so early? Some analysts argue he would have stood beside the greatest ever names in football history, not as a competitor, but as a standard, because before the injuries, there was no weakness to point at. No hesitation, no decline, no fad, just dominance.
Against 11. So I had to play as a right wing, I had to play against Maldini all the time. Couldn't score a goal.
But Van Basten wasn't loud. He wasn't theatrical. He didn't need chaos to lead. At AC Milan, leadership came through silence, through consistency, through execution. Teammates describe him as calm, almost detached from pressure. While others panicked in big moments, he simplified them. Score, move, win. That was his rhythm. And that mindset became part of Milan's identity during their dominant era. Not emotional leadership, but surgical leadership.